Hey everybody, we are live. Welcome to another edition of Boston Straight Shooters. I'm your host for this evening, Steve, aka Negative Ned. I'm hoping Frank can join us, so we'll wait for him and see if he jumps in. This is the show we talk about the Patriots, Bruins, Celtics, and Red Sox. Get you all caught up to speed on the goings on over the past week with the local teams, and let me get started by posting the link for everybody so you guys can join the show. Um, It's been a little bit of a rough week since the Patriots lost the Super Bowl. Very disappointing. We are going to get to that in a little bit. First, we're gonna try and do hockey first. I know the Bruins are not playing, but the Olympics are going on, and we're going to talk about them. The Olympics, the USA had their first game today, and they played Latvia, and they beat them 5-1. USA looked good. I give them credit. The guys look good, but Latvia looked bad. They didn't present much of a challenge, in my opinion, from what I saw in the game. USA outshot them 38-18. USA carried a lot of the play. They peppered the goalie, the poor guy. I felt bad for him. But Brock Nelson had 2 goals. Brady Tkachuk had a goal, and Tage Thompson, he scored on the power play, and the goal he scored was one of the sickest goals. He got it down low to the side of the net, kind of fumbled it a little bit, and then did like a backhand right over the goalie's shoulder, over this shoulder. There's like tight window between his shoulder and the corner of the net, and he just roofed it right in there. Really nice goal. USA looked pretty solid. I mean, good in all 3 zones, good defensively. Offensively, I was kind of watching it, I was kind of watching it, but I was taking notes too, so I didn't pay attention as much to the line combinations. I'll get that for next week's show. We'll have all the line combinations, who was playing with who. But one of the goals that Nelson scored was like, it was a 3-on-1 that turned into a 4-on-2, and it was a tic-tac-toe play, and the goalie really had no chance. It was a beautiful goal. They set him up. So, USA gets off on the right foot. They have games coming up against Denmark on Saturday at 3:10 and Sunday against Germany at 3:10 due to the time difference. So at least I'll be able to watch those. Any other ones they have during the week's kind of a bummer. I'll probably have to record them in order to watch them because I don't know where they show the replays at nighttime. They haven't been showing them, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to watch these games that because of the time difference. And I heard that the gold medal game is going to be on February 22nd, maybe, or something, and it's at 8 a.m. in the morning, which a lot of people are upset. I'm fine with it. They have the closing ceremonies probably at 8 o'clock during prime time, so you're not going to put those games on. But I mean, maybe they should have it in the afternoon. I don't know. I don't know how they have the logistics and all that stuff going on. So I can't speak yet until I get some more information as to what the travel schedule looks like. When the NHL is supposed to resume is the 25th, which is that Wednesday. So I don't know when they have to be back to their teams. I would imagine they have to be back by like Monday, and then maybe get a breather and have practice on Tuesday. And the Bruins are playing Thursday that week, so whoever's playing for the Bruins, the 9 guys that are on the Bruins, will have a 3-day break there to get caught up. But you know, I was flipping around Friday night trying to watch the Celtics and also trying to watch some of the opening ceremonies because David Pastrnak was the Chechnya flag bearer, and I got to see that when he came out. That was pretty cool. Um, you know, most of the other rest of the opening ceremony I wasn't really interested in. The USA when they came out was good. Um, you know, there's, I don't know. I'm only interested really in the hockey. I know a lot of people are interested in the figure skating and the speed skating. The luge is pretty good. Actually, the bobsledding is pretty good. I actually don't mind watching those either. The skiing, not really. Uh, really unfortunate for Lindsey Vaughn, who took a spill last week, tore her ACL, and decided she was still going to give it a go, and then she ended up breaking her leg and she got airlifted. Uh, that's too bad. But back to the Olympics. Um, let's see. Switzerland beat France 4-0. Canada beat Czechia 5-0, and Germany beat Denmark 3-1. Canada 5-0. That's pretty big. Did I put it here? I didn't put it here, but I think former Bruin Brad Marchand got an assist in the game. Connor McDavid had 3 assists for Canada. I think that it's going to be hopefully Canada and USA. Everybody wants that matchup for sure, especially after the Four Nations thing last year when right off the bat they dropped the gloves, which I heard is fighting is not allowed in international hockey. So I think if anybody does it, they're going to get tossed out. Maybe not just for the game, but for the rest of the tournament. So I wouldn't expect to see any fisticuffs. It'll be hard hitting, that's for sure. I did hear also that they are not, because it's in Italy, they don't have an Olympic-sized rink. The length of it is shorter by, I think, 10 feet, and the width is shorter by 13 feet or something like that. And when you look at the face-off circles, like the paint for the outer parts of the circles, like just about touching the boards. So it kind of looks like the old Boston Garden, which favored the Bruins when they played there. But I really like the Olympic size rinks, and I wish the NHL could go to those because you'd have much more offense. It's much more wide open. There's more space for the guys to get around. So these games, I think, are going to be more like tight checking. I don't think you're going to. Well, I mean, you can't say you're not going to see any offense when it's 5-1 or 5-0. But I think that the reason for that is the level of play. So when USA and Canada play each other, it's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be 2-1, 3-2. I'd be shocked if either one of those teams beat each other 5-0 in a small rink like that. So I'm looking forward to them playing. And I did one of the commentators during the game, or maybe after the game, I forget, they said that they thought Jeremy Swayman would get in one of the games over the weekend. So that'll be interesting to see. And that may be, he may only get in 1 or 2 games because the other guy is probably going to be the starter and start most of the games. So we'll see. Quick rundown. Charlie McAvoy played in the game. He had no points. Pastrnak, no points, 1 shot on net in the loss to Canada. Henry Jokiharju for Finland, no points, -1. Dan Lukmelis, who was playing for Latvia, no points, 1 shot on goal. I think he's in Providence this year. He's having a pretty decent year down there. I looked up his numbers earlier. and we have Pavel Zacha, who's on Czechia. I didn't see him listed as playing because he was hurt right before the break. So I don't know his status yet, whether he's going to be able to play or not. So it's him and Elias Lindholm. I didn't see his name listed either. He was injured a week or two before the Bruins break. So we'll have to keep an eye on them guys and see if they can get in there. It's just getting started. I mean, the first games were yesterday. I was fortunate enough to be able to watch USA Today in the game against Latvia. I'm looking forward to Saturday and Sunday. Watch those games and some other games. I mean, hopefully they'll have some other games on too. Hopefully Canada will be on, or Finland and Sweden. I like watching them play each other too. Sweden and Finland. That's a massive. That's like Canada and USA over there. It's a massive matchup, rivalry, or whatever. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to switch from Olympic talk now, and we're going to go to Bruins trade rumor, courtesy of Danny, who I don't see yet, but he'll be barking at me if I don't mention this. So, Danny, this is for you. There's a rumor going around that the Bruins are interested in Vincent Trocheck, or the guys that came up with the rumor thought that he would be a good fit for the Bruins. And some of the names mentioned to be moved would be Mason Lohrei or Andrew Peeke, the defenseman. My guess is in addition to that, you'd have to move some picks as well. His salary, he's got a $5.625 million cap hit, which runs to the end of next year. I don't think you'd be able to trade Lohrei, where you'd have to include him with somebody like Casey Middlestat, because they don't have the wiggle room to take on $5.6 million in cap space right now. I want to say they only have like 800,000 or $1 million, if that. I don't even think they have that much. So they'd have to really do some finagling to get that guy in here. But Vincent Trocheck, 32 years old, he could be a number 2 guy or number 1, whatever way they figure it out. But the Rangers definitely selling pieces off. They're not going anywhere. I think they're in the basement still, and they've been doing a dumpster fire over there. So, I mean, he wouldn't be a bad piece to get, as long as you don't have to give up too much from all the draft picks that the Bruins, that Don Sweeney got last year. I don't want to just give away like 4 picks for this guy. He's not worth more than 1, maybe 2 picks tops. He's not worth a first-round pick. So you have second-round picks you piled on. Maybe it's a second-round pick, but I wouldn't give any first-round picks for him, because even though they're in the wild card hunt, I still don't think that adding him would put them over the top to actually make a run. Now, I could be wrong because I've been wrong before, but my fear is that, you get this guy and you gave up two picks, and one of them is a first-round pick, depending upon what it is, and then now he doesn't pan out, and then you don't, let's say you don't make the playoffs, or let's say you get bounced in the first round again, which is typical for the Bruins to get bounced in the first round. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened either. So, listen, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. There's a freeze right now, too, during the Olympics. Nobody can trade anybody. So, we don't have to worry about it happening now, but the trade deadline's like right around March 8th, I think. And I'm sure after the break, depending upon how the Bruins look, there's going to be all kinds of rumors going around. So we'll be paying attention to those. But for right now, it's go USA. Let's see if they can get gold medal. Oh, excuse me. Let's see if they can get a gold medal. That'd be great. All right, let's move along. Well, now we have to move along to Super Bowl 60, Patriots versus Seahawks. Uh, Not my first choice to talk about, but it's not anybody's. So, c'est la vie. Here we go. Listen, the Patriots, considering where they were, for them to be in the Super Bowl is absolutely phenomenal. And so, you know, there's sports radio guys that are like, well, if they don't win it, it's a failure. It's like, wait a second. How can you call the whole season a failure for a team that was projected to really win 8, 9, 10 tops games this year, and no one had them going to the Super Bowl around here? Like nobody. There is no way anybody, even after they beat the Bills in Week 5 and they rattled off, a whole bunch of wins before they lost to Buffalo in the second matchup. There's no way anybody said that they were going to the Super Bowl. There's, you cannot say it was a failure. Everybody's talking about how easy the schedule was, which is typical because when you have a 4-win team, the next year they make it easier so that you can get teams back in the playoffs and, not hold them back and keep them down like baseball. I'm not going to get into that right now, but they want the quick turnaround for teams. They want parity. They want the playing field to be even. So they don't want, I'm pretty sure they don't want the Patriots to make it back to the Super Bowl. But the idea is that you have teams that struggle, like Jacksonville was 4 wins or 5 wins last year. They won 12 games this year, won their division. That's the kind of turnarounds they want. And the Patriots definitely, had quite a bit of luck. They had a lot of things break their way. You have to have that in order to go to the Super Bowl, whether it's less injuries on your end, more injuries on the other team's end, just huge breaks. Look, they got huge breaks. We can't ignore the breaks that they got in the games that they played. But, they still faced the gauntlet of defenses. I mean, they faced 4 top defenses all through the whole playoffs. It was so long ago now. I forget who the hell they played in the first week in the playoffs. And then they played Houston, which was San Diego, the Chargers. Sorry, Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers is a top 6 defense, top 5 defense. Houston's the top 3 defense. That was probably the toughest defense they had faced up to that point. And then you go to Denver, and you face another top defense. And so, they caught breaks against Houston where Nico Collins, their top wide receiver, didn't play. They caught a break when Bo Nix broke his ankle, so he couldn't play in the championship game, AFC championship game. But they still had to go out there and beat the defenses and win those games. The Patriots did something that no Patriots team in history has ever gone to Denver and won in the playoffs. And so that's a remarkable accomplishment. And so for you to sit there and tell me it's a failure that they lost the Super Bowl and then get to the Super Bowl, look, Seattle was the better team. They deserve to win. That's usually how it goes, too, in the Super Bowl. You usually don't have a Super Bowl. You're like, oh, crap, they didn't deserve it. It's very rare. They outplayed the Patriots. The Patriots' offensive line outmatched in this game. The whole offense really. There was some plays here and there, but for the most part, that defense was like all over Drake May, all over the offensive line. Sports radio, all beating up Will Campbell unnecessarily. So the first thing I'm going to say is, I still have Patriots Super Bowl jersey, whatever. Still support them. just I put it this way. Last year I had a freaking bag over my head as the unknown Patriots fan. I'd rather have it this way and lose the Super Bowl. At least you get there. So the guys deserve a lot of credit for a good year. It's not a failure. I don't care what nobody says. Take that crap and shove it. We're not listening to that. We're on the way up. So I feel bad for Will Campbell. I don't think that the scrutiny he's getting, is deserved. He's going to learn a lot. He needs more, coaching, technique, practice, whatever you want to call it. But there's talk about moving him to guard, moving him away from left tackle. Don't do that. For the majority of the year when he was healthy, he was not an issue as the left tackle. Now, I understand when they play Cleveland, Myles Garrett ate him for lunch. When he plays better guys like him and Max Crosby, that's going to happen. Look who's here. Hey, Brittany, how you doing? Look at that. All right, thanks for joining the show. Thank you too, Danny. You missed you if you didn't catch it, you missed your Olympics moment, by the way. And don't yell at me. So listen, Patriots. Will Campbell will get better. He'll have time to get better. He's a rookie. For him, last year, remember, Fedarian Lowe was a turnstile over there. He was absolutely brutal. He couldn't block his way out of a friggin' wet paper bag. So give me Will Campbell all day long. I don't want to see him moved inside. Left tackle is not easy to get. The Bruins tried to sign some, couldn't do it. Most teams don't trade them or give them away or let them walk at free agency, very rare. And if they do, they're usually old. So, can't beat them, can't beat the guys up too much. I mean, look, it was a bad game all around. Seattle, right off the opening drive, and the Patriots do this, and I freaking can't stand it. They defer the kickoff, and Seattle comes down on the opening drive and gets a field goal. Frustrating. And I will say this too, and I wish Frank was here, because the defense really played a good game and kept the Patriots in the game for a lot of the game. They made a lot of big stops. If there was any doubt about whether or not the Patriots should, give Christian Gonzalez a big contract, I think he proved in the Super Bowl. He was the Patriots' best player in the game, period. He made a number of great plays. And, and he wasn't alone. Believe me, there were some other guys that made good plays, but, he stood out. And the Patriots overall defense really did a good job, except for, a 30-yard run, 29-yard run. There were some long runs. I didn't realize until I heard afterwards, because when you're watching the game, you're not really paying attention to who's in and who's out and who's on the sideline. On one of those runs, Milton Williams was on the sideline. So for the most part, when him and Barmore were in there together, they weren't really running that, not getting those kind of runs. But the Patriots didn't stop the run. That guy got 134 yards on the ground and won the MVP. So, I mean, I just think that they had opportunities. Like the first drive for Seattle, Sam Darnold throws a pass, and Marcus Jones is like right there and like just missed it, and then the guy grabbed it, and they got a first down out of it. There was a couple other ones where they had Sam Darnold in the backfield. He escaped. It's unfortunate they let him get away. They should have had more sacks. They should have been able to get their hands on him and force a turnover. They were like this close, and just couldn't get it. So that was a little bit frustrating too. But overall, Patriots, their first 10 drives, they couldn't do anything. Couldn't move the ball. May got sacked a bunch of times. He got sacked 6 times overall in the game. He threw 2 picks. One of them got returned for a touchdown later on in the game. I was taking notes the whole game, and then when it got to that, I stopped. It was 29-7. I'm like, all right, I don't need to take any more notes. There's nothing to see here. Poor guy's getting his rear end handed to him. So they don't, they couldn't protect him. They couldn't protect him good enough for him to do anything. And then come to find out, the Seattle players on defense were saying that they knew what was coming based on how the offensive line was lining up. So that's a little frustrating too, to hear that. You're kind of tipping what's going on. It's like it's like a pitcher tipping his pitches in baseball. Um, I've heard that. I heard that a few times last year about some teams the Red Sox beat. And so, listen, when you're really good and you have an extra week to prepare and you can pick things out, and you have good coaching, the Patriots, I'm sure, because I've heard this now watching interviews that pop up between Instagram and Facebook, where former Patriots players like Willie McGinnis or Ty Law or whoever would be like, "Oh yeah, we saw this, and we didn't need the stupid camera Spygate crap." He goes, "After Spygate stuff, we already knew what was coming. We didn't need that." So I think it just happens across the NFL when the guys know what's coming, and that's preparation, is film study. And something too, unfortunate, I don't think the Patriots offensively adjusted. Josh McDaniels didn't make adjustments good enough for the guys to move the ball and so forth. So, it's frustrating, but you can't knock these guys. They had a good year. The game just got away from them. When it was 9-0 at the end of the first half, I'm like, okay, the defense is holding them in. We're getting the ball. If we can just get a drive and get some points, I mean, ideally a touchdown would have been nice. But even if they had got a field goal, at least you would have felt like you were in the game. Then it gets to be 19-0. It's like, guys, we can't. I want to say, let me find my notes here because where is it? No, I lost that part of it. They finally, like I said, on their 10th drive after being down 19-0, May ran for 6 yards, and on that play there was Stephon Diggs got shoved when he was out of bounds, and there was no flag and there was no penalty. Now I can guarantee you, if a Patriot player did that to a Seahawks player, there would have been a flag, and that's frustrating, especially when the color commentator guys and the third ref eye in the booth there, guy that they referenced there, they all said the same. It should have been a penalty. I don't know why there's no replay assist there, and I think the booth ref guy there said, "Well, there was no flag on the play, so there is no replay assist. They wouldn't jump in." And it's like, no, that's when they need to jump in. The replay assist should be for everything now. It shouldn't just be, oh, well, there's no flag, so there's no replay assist. Like, no, he got shoved out of bounds. That's a penalty. Buzz down to the ref and say, hey, make this call. You do it for other crap you shouldn't do it for. So that was frustrating. But on that drive, they finally, Drake May hit Mac Hollins for a 24-yard gain, and then he hit him for a 35-yard touchdown. And so, there's a lot of scuttlebutt about Drake May's shoulder throughout the last 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl. He was listed on the injury report up until the Friday before the game. I'm going to talk about this now. The game, again, give the Seahawks credit. They deserve to win. But the Patriots offensively just was so bad. And I don't think his shoulder, I don't think you can use it as an excuse, because he basically came out and said, hey, I'm fine. I'm good to go, blah, blah. Goes out there. And now all of a sudden, well, he made some throws that, he was missing guys wide open. He missed Austin Hooper was wide open for like a 30-yard gain and just like threw it to the left of him. And he had a couple other plays where he had guys wide open and like overthrew him or undershot him. And I don't think it was his shoulder. I think it's because he was getting harassed the whole game. Probably felt sped it up. He was speeding up, anticipating, the rush or getting hit or whatever. And so, I think it was more that. I don't think his shoulder. I'm not saying that, having a shot in there didn't do anything at all, but you can't use it as an excuse because if you're hurt, don't play. You got two options. We talk about this with the hockey players. Um, you know, they play through like a ruptured spleen or, broken finger or whatever they have, and they don't look right through the whole playoffs, for whatever reason. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, he had this, he had that, and he still played. We applaud the toughness, but if you're a detriment to your team, then what good are you? I know you're trying to tough it out and you're making, $20 million a year. I get it. There's a double-edged sword there. It's like, okay, we want them to tough it out and play, but also if you're hurting the team, it's not worth it. So in Drake May's case, I don't want to hear that his shoulder was a problem because he basically said it wasn't a problem. He admitted after the game or, whenever the press conference was that he got a shot in his shoulder. Some people are making it a big deal. Like, oh, well, he had a bad shoulder, so, they screwed up. It's like, listen, guys play hurt. In football, there's guys that play through all kinds of stuff, just like hockey players. And it's the Super Bowl. You want to play. I'm almost positive Drake May wanted to play. You would have to be in like Bo Nix territory and break your ankle and break your shoulder to not play. So I just think that, all the talk about the shoulder just needs to die down. He played. I don't think we can use it as an excuse. That's all. He's going to be fine. Listen, he's a pretty tough customer. I just think that in a game like that, he got sped up and he got nervous and made some mistakes, and he'll learn from them, hopefully. Nobody should be calling for him to be replaced or think that he's not going to be able to be the guy for the next 10 years or whatever. And we're going to have plenty of time to talk about how they're going to rebuild going forward. They have a number of guys that are free agents, and they're going to have to pick and choose what they're going to do. So I want to say the NFL Combine is like next month, where they evaluate all the kids coming out in the draft. So, there will be some news, Patriots news next month, as far as the Combine goes. Then you have to draft in April. And the Patriots are picking 31st, so now they don't have a high draft pick this year. They're picking near the bottom. And I'm okay with that. Let's move on to the Celtics. I think, let's see. The Celtics are now at their All-Star break. They had 3 games last week. They won 2 and lost 1. They, where's my notes here? Hold on. Whoa. Oh, I got the wrong notes. Hold on here. Come on, you. The refs suck, Yeah, I know the refs suck. The refs suck in all the sports. I wish we could do something about them. We're going to have all robot umps pretty soon. Let's see, where is... Come on. Okay, here was Celtics. Okay, so they had a week where they went 2-1. They beat Miami 98-96. They lost to the Knicks 111-89, and they beat Chicago 124-105. The Miami game was a great comeback for them. They were down They were down 59-38 at the half. They were down by 22 points at one point during the game. It was their biggest comeback win of the year. Jaylen Brown, 29 points. Peyton Pritchard, 24. Derek White, 21. The new guy, Nikola Vukovic, 11 points, 12 rebounds. Unfortunately, part of the Celtics' problem is they only shot 28% in the first half. Their 38 points that they scored was their lowest total this year and a half. So they got off to a bad start. I mean, they were just throwing stuff up. Nothing was going in. It wasn't working. But they clawed and scratched. They actually held Bam Adebayo to 16 points and 7 rebounds. He's been killing the Celtics over the last couple of years. So to hold him to under 20 points, that's pretty big. They out-rebounded them 50-42 overall, and they out-rebounded them on the offensive glass 13-10, which is encouraging. Unfortunately, they were only 10 of 36 from three for 28%. Horrible. I don't know what's going on with them this year, but the threes are not going in. And this is the worst I've seen it. This is even worse than, when Marcus Smart was throwing them up. And Al Horford would go 0 for 7 and have a dry spell. I mean, this is brutal. I don't know how they fix this, but they got to fix it after the All-Star break. They can't have these misses. It's too many. That said, for them to show the grit and determination to come back after being down 20-something points, and I understand the way the league is. It's all runs. It's all like 20-7 runs, and a 20-point lead's nothing anymore. I mean, back in the day, if you had a 20-point lead, it was pretty much curtains. Now everybody can come back. The three makes it possible, so I get it. But this is a good win for them. I like it, and they've won all 3 meetings with Miami so far this year. That's pretty big. Next game, they got trounced by the Knicks. I only watched like 2.5 quarters. They were getting murdered. I couldn't watch anymore. I had to shut it off. So I readily admit that, they were killing me. 1 for 20 from 3 in the first half. Just absolutely horrendous. They just could not get anything to go in. They were 7 for 41 from 3, 17%. I mean, that's atrocious. I mean, that's just like, that's below G League level. I mean, I don't get it. I'm just flummoxed by that. 1 for 20. It's like, horrible. It's it is definitely the worst game I've ever seen them shoot from 3. And I don't know. They got to do something. Derek White's been having a bad year from 3. And I forget what he was in this game. Maybe like 3 for 12 or something. I'm not 100% sure, but Jaylen Brown's been bad from 3. 2 for 9, 1 for 7. He should just stop shooting threes. He doesn't need to take them. His game is inside. He's got the mid-range game going on. And he's trying to be more forceful and drive to the basket more. Kid, what is that? Hi from St. Kitts. Look at that. Hi from St. Kitts. Thanks, kid. Look at that. Hey, I hope you're enjoying yourself. Safe travels. Safe trip back. That is pisser. So yeah, they gotta do something about the threes. It's becoming a real problem. But Jaylen Brown's game is more inside the 3. He's got like that mid-range jumper going on. He's got the drive into the basket. Stick with that. Skip the threes. And the other thing that's aggravating me still is he's bringing the ball up again. I don't like that. I don't know why they make him do it or what the plays are designed that Joe Mazzulla has him doing. But stop doing that and give the point guards the ball and get it to him in openings where he can do his thing. His thing is not handling the ball. I don't, too many of these games that were sloppy. He was like dribbling it, bouncing off his foot, turning it over. And he wasn't the only one in some of these games where they had bad passing, bad ball handling, dribbling the ball off their feet, stuff. But I just the whole thing with the left hand thing last year with the glove with the all right, we're past that, and that's not the issue anymore. The issue isn't whether he can go to his left. The issue is he's trying to bring the ball up the court, and that's not a strength for him. So I want to see that dialed back. You have guys to do that. Use the guys you have for that. Stop making him do that. Back to the Knicks game. I mean, they were unreal. I think they shot like 51% for the game. They shot 40% from three. Jalen Brunson, 31 points. He had 10 straight in the third quarter and put the Knicks up by 23. That might have been where I shut it off, where they were up by 20-something points and shots weren't going in. But he's been a real Celtics killer over the last year or so, and they did not have answers for him. And they better get some, because the Knicks are gaining a lot of confidence playing you. And I don't like it. They beat the Celtics in the playoffs, and now they've won. I want to say they've won 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 this year. I'll have to go and look. But they're starting to have your number, and you're in first place by half a game. You got to beat them if you want to win the division and stay number 2 in the Eastern Conference, which is remarkable too. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. The Celtics are way better than what I thought they were going to be, considering the salary dumps that they had to do to get under the luxury tax. Bright spot. There were 2 lone bright spots for the Celtics in that Knicks game. Baylor Shireman got his first, got a start in place of Sam Hauser, who was out with an injury, and he had 10 points and 13 rebounds. Like to see it. Like to see some more from him, because early on, his shooting, his threes weren't going in. So it's nice to see some contributions from him. He can be a good player for them. I like him. So hopefully he'll improve and be a factor coming up. It's only his second year, so he's got time. Third game, 120. Excuse me. Third game against Chicago, 124-105. It was really never close. The Celtics were up by like 30-something points most of the game. I want to say it was retribution for that 1-point buzzer beater game they lost last week or the week before. They shot 51% overall as a team. They were 18 for 45 from 3, 40%. That's more like where they need to be. Defensively, the rebounds, they out-rebounded them 48-34. They had 13 offensive rebounds to 9. And that's 3 games in a row now where they got more offensive rebounds than the other team. That's encouraging. And that was a serious weakness and problem for them during the year, especially in the last few weeks. They were getting out-rebounded on the offensive boards bad. So hopefully they've found a way to rectify that. Peyton Pritchett, 26 points. Jaylen Brown, 24. Vucevic, the new guy, 19 points, 11 rebounds in 26 minutes off the bench. That's really good. Last week, again, I wish Frank was here because I know he really liked Anthony Simons. I really like Vucevic, though, in the center. As a center, they needed to get another big guy. We've talked about it for all 3 years that we've been on this show, me and Frank, about how they always need a big guy. I think last year, the year before, they got Mike Muscala, and he's big, but he shoots threes, and that's it. I mean, they need a guy that'll bang inside, get some rebounds, and give them a little bit of offensive scoring. He's got a little more offensive touch than Neemias Queta, who I still love, by the way. So let's not forget that. He's still good. I like him. But, I think that getting him makes them better. And you got, Anthony Simons. I just feel like he wasn't going to be the same help that would be if you get Jason Tatum back. Sorry, I got my J's mixed up here. If you get Jason Tatum back, he's 25 points a game, 25, 30 points a game. You don't need Simons anymore. So that's, you need size up front. They get it. Even though that guy's contract is expiring, maybe they could bring him back a little cheaper. I don't know. But listen, I like where the Celtics are, and I honestly did not see them in first place. I didn't see them second in the conference. At the very beginning of the year, I had them like fourth or fifth. I still thought that they could be good. I still thought that they'd win somewhere between 45 and 48 games. Now they already have 35 wins. They're 35 and 19. They have a real shot to get 50. They got 27 or 28 games left. Win 15, 16 games. They got a shot to do something. They got a shot to be number 2 in the conference, and they got a shot to, with Jason Tatum back, hopefully he's 100% and he's back to what he normally is. All kinds of scuttlebutt too about him. Whether he's coming back or not. He practiced with the G League the other day, and it was only a practice, and it was one day, and then he came back here, and so now people are trying to figure out is he coming back? Is he not? Is he hemming and hawing? Stop trying to read into the comments. Just let him do his thing. Stop trying to get the answers. I understand you guys have a job to do. I understand it's good for sports radio and, social media and whatever. But leave the guy alone and just let him do his thing. He's got to be 100% before he comes back. Everybody's trying to say that he might come back after the All-Star break or might come back at the end of February. I know one of the Celtics guys that does the pre- and post-game show said he had February and it was just his gut feeling, whatever. Mine is still March. I think that mid-March, with 10-ish games left, 10, 15 games left, is probably the right spot because you do not want to overdo him, or listen, you can bring him back at the end of February and the beginning of March, but you have to do one game sit, maybe for a week or so to let him get back up to speed. And then the last couple weeks, let him play as many games as he can before the playoffs, because you just don't want him to have a setback, and you don't want him to get hurt again and miss another year. So whatever it is, get 100%. Get 100% and be the help that they need. And I think he can. I think part of the reason they made that trade with Simons is because A, they needed help up front, and B, I think they think Jason Tatum's coming back. I think if they didn't think he was coming back, they would leave Simons and just try to shoot their way into the playoffs. But, the other thing too is Simons' contract was expiring. They needed to get under the cap, and they did. And I'm not going to rehash that now. We'll rehash that in the summer when they look at free agents and whatnot, how that's going to look. But listen, go Celtics. NBA All-Star Weekend is this weekend. Jaylen Brown is in the All-Star game. I want to say he's starting. So I know that the whole All-Star Weekend, there's a whole controversy and scuttlebutt about being boring, and the games are being boring. This year they're trying something different. I think they're doing they're doing USA versus Europe or the foreigners or whatever it is they're doing, just to try to mix it up. I do like that idea. I do like that idea because At least you're doing something different. You know, I don't usually watch the NBA All Star things on the weekends. We'll see. I did watch the dunk contest the last couple of years. That dude McClung, who was from the G League that won it the last couple of years, 2-3 years. He's been phenomenal, but he's not in it this year. I don't know why. So I don't know who's going to be in it. I don't know what the dunk contest is going to look like, but I don't. I don't know. I am curious to see the All Star game itself, though, with this new format, just to see what it looks like. I know that they're kind of sort of mimicking the Four Nations thing from last year with hockey. It's a good try. I mean, you have to do it. I mean, the foreign players are getting better. There's a lot of good foreign players in the NBA. I'm not going to start listing them, but listen, they've been getting better. They've been getting better for probably about 20 years or more. No, maybe 30. So it'll be interesting to see that. All right, let me watch the time here before I run out. We do have to talk about the Red Sox. They made a 6-player trade this week, just before the start of training camp. Spring training, sorry. Training camp, spring training. It's all training. Okay. So the Red Sox made a trade with the Milwaukee Brewers, and they received Caleb Durbin, who was a third baseman for them last year. He finished third in the Rookie of the Year voting. He's 25 years old. I think he hit 11 home runs. He batted .256. And I forgot to look how many errors he made, so I'll have to get that for next week. But it was him. They got him, Andrew Monasterio, and Anthony Siegler. Those guys are also infielders. Those are like lower level, like AAA and AA guys. And they traded Kyle Harrison, who they got in the Rafael Devers trade, and they traded minor league pitcher Shane Drohan. And this is my favorite part of the trade. They traded David Hamilton. Yes, I don't have to watch him botch balls at second base again. Oh my God! Listen, it's not personal. We needed an upgrade there. He's not getting the job done. He's not cutting it. The dude batted 198. He can't field. He's fast, but you can't keep him as a utility guy on the bench just because of speed. Get another guy for that. Get me a guy with a glove. And so, listen, I'm glad. Maybe he'll pan out for the Brewers. Go ahead, have at it. But I don't want to see him at second base in a Red Sox uniform ever again. Killing us, absolutely killing us. So listen, now they have options. Now there's a whole. I like the trade. They need a third baseman. The owner not spending money and not getting the big 30 home run, big bat guy. I think we are past that because we know they're not going to do it anymore. But also, this is a guy that doesn't strike out a lot. This is a guy that puts the ball in play. And so one of the things that I actually hate about the way the league is, and these nerd analytic clowns, and the Red Sox fell into this too, is the whole launch angle and more home runs and all this crap. Listen, you got to put the ball in play. You got to hit the ball. You can't just keep striking out. There's too many stretches for the Red Sox where they struck out a ton, and it didn't help them. And somehow, miraculously, they still finished in the top, 5 in runs scored. So, look, they need to find a way to get timely hits, and they have guys that have the potential to have some pop. I think Willie Abreu, could be a 25 to 30 home run guy regularly. He's got pop. He's got 20 home run power. Luckily last year they had Trevor Story had a good year last year. It was his best year in a Red Sox uniform. 26 home runs, I think he hit last year, 26 home runs, 90 RBI. If he did that again, that would be phenomenal. And there was a few stretches in there where he got hot and carried the team for a little while. So they don't necessarily need to have 40 home run guys. Not that it doesn't help, but if they're not willing to spend uh, and go over the luxury tax by a lot, listen, I want to say they went over the first eight, but I'm going to have to look at the numbers and figure it out what they've actually spent. We'll have time for that over the next few weeks. But right now, they added that free agent pitcher from Philly, the Ranger Suarez. Listen, the rotation should be much better. You now have Garrett Crochet, Ranger Suarez, and Sonny Gray, and then you got Bayo fourth, and then you got fifth starters. You got that kid they got from Pittsburgh, Oliveto, whatever his name is, potential. You got Cutter Crawford coming back, and you also still have Peyton Tolley and Connolly early. So you have four options there to fit and mix match, and not give me Brennan Bernardino opening the game for 1 or 2 innings and then taxing the rest of the bullpen. They need legit guys back there. So I'm hoping that and also there's Patrick Sandoval who's probably going to be fighting for a spot too. So they got a slew of arms back there now that can help, and hopefully, the other guys like Crochet and Suarez and Sonny Gray and whatnot, none of those guys gets hurt, because if that happens, then it's going to be a shit show. Excuse my French, but that's going to be a major disaster. But that said, I think that it was a major issue for them to improve the defense, and so now you have options that there would be Durbin and Marcelo Maya. There's scuttlebutt about whether Maya is going to be the starting third baseman or where he's going to play. And you could flip-flop them. You could put Maya at third, Durbin at second, or flip them and have those two. But those two guys should both be in the start lineup, in my opinion. And what that does is that puts Romy Gonzalez in the utility role where he belongs, because before this trade, you were probably looking at him at second base. So now he stays on the bench where he belongs. And then you still have Christian Campbell. I don't have no idea where he's going to play. They scrapped the second base idea and put him in left, I think, in the outfield. That doesn't work. We have too many outfielders here already. So I don't know if they're going to put him back at second base and then have him play in Worcester. But, listen, they should be better. If they can keep the pitching staff healthy and they can hit and not strike out 9 million times in a game. They were striking out 13 times a game, 14 times a game. Terrible. They needed to fix that. So I think that this trade, I'm probably one of the very few that likes the trade. The sports radio guys definitely don't like it. They're like, oh, they didn't keep Bregman, and this is his replacement. And they went cheap, and they're not spending money and blah, blah, and he's terrible. And, so listen, he's 25 years old. He's got upside. He was third in the Rookie of the Year voting. I like the trade. I don't think that they must not have thought that Kyle Harrison was going to get a spot in the rotation for them to give up on him and trade him. And you have to trade assets to get assets back. So I'm not upset about losing him. I would have been more upset if they had traded Tolio early and kept him. I think losing Peyton Tolio, you don't want to lose him. So I don't know. I like the trade. I hope I hope it pans out for them. The odds for the Red Sox for how many games they're going to win is right now 87.5. Last year, I think it was right around 88, maybe, or it was 80. I forget, but whatever it is, nonetheless, technically they should be better. Hopefully they will be. All right, I got to watch the clock. Let's move on to the poll questions. Weekly poll questions. All right, poll questions. Let me find them. Where are you? Here you are. All right, so Super Bowl, Seattle's favored by 4.5. Who do you got? Patriots by 3, 67%. Patriots by 7 or more, 33%. Seattle by 3-0. Seattle by more than 7-0. So everybody wanted the Patriots. Thought they would win. Uh, who is the most to blame for the Patriots Super Bowl loss to the Seahawks? Coaching 15%, offensive line 85%, Drake May 0. I had coaching. I don't think that they did enough to help these guys out. There was no adjustments in the second half. There was no hurry up offense. There was no. I just feel that they could have done some things differently, and they didn't do them for whatever reason. So that was my pick. How much of a factor do you think Drake May's shoulder injury was a factor in the Patriots Super Bowl loss to the Seahawks? Huge, 40%. So a majority of people think it was pretty big. 20%, not at all. 20%, no excuse. 40%. So you have, most of us think that it's either huge or no excuse. So that's it for that. Now we got to move on to the weekly predictions. We have, let's see, Patriots will win the Super Bowl 3-point game. Wrong. Back to the drawing board for negative Ned. Trevion Henderson would break a big run for a TD. Wrong. Didn't happen. Celtics Nikola Vukovic will get a 30-point game next week. Wrong. Wrong. Bye. Didn't happen. United States beats Latvia and Canada beats Czech Republic in their first Olympic Games. Ding, ding, ding. Fairly easy. But sometimes there can be an upset. So that's why I wanted to throw that in there. I need something for hockey because there's no Bruins. Now, this week's, where did I put them? Oh, yeah, here they are. I have three. For this week. I'm going to go on a limb and say the NFL is going to punish the Patriots for fudging Drake May's injury on the injury report. It's not the first time they've done it. There's been some media people, I'll say, that I saw that said that they should be punished because, the guy's playing in the Super Bowl, he's hurt, and you basically lied, and that's how they took it. So I have a funny feeling it's going to get punished. Going to see what happens. I say this is a long shot to happen. So, Frank, I hope you understand this. Jeremy Swayman will get a shutout in his Olympic debut this weekend. If he plays one of these two games, he's getting a shutout. That's saying a lot. So let's see if he can make it happen. Because listen, he played in that USA tournament during the summer, and he was the starting goalie there, and they won. So listen, he could get a boost here and help his confidence. All right, last one. Just because, and I know Frank would be like, "Oh my God, you're starting already." So listen to this: someone's getting hurt in spring training over the next week. It never fails. Somebody's going to have like a split fingernail or a toe or a hamstring injury or some kind of calf running. It's going to be something stupid. It never fails. The players are due to report, I think, tomorrow, over the weekend or Monday or something. So whatever it is, somebody's always got something. As soon as they start doing the drills and the running and whatever it is, somebody's going to have like a hangnail or whatever. They're going to be out for a week. So I'm just, it's negative Ned being negative Ned. That's what it is. I feel like I have to do this every spring training when they start now, just because, whatever. So that's it for the weekly predictions, and that's all the time we have. So we're out of time. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank you all for voting in the polls and for the comments and for the support. Make sure to catch us on YouTube, and we'll see you right back here next week. Thank you.